Hey y'all, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode. I'm SwipaCam. Welcome back to the channel. I got my dog, one of the best YouTubers on the net, one of the best NBA knowers, one of the true real hoopers know. Hoop Venue in the house, man. What's going on, my bro?
Just chilling, man. Appreciate you having me on for our second discussion on the channel, man.
Yeah,
We
man. Hey man,
talked
I'm
a
telling
while
y'all.
ago.
Go follow this man, bro. Your content. I mean, honestly, even before I think I put out my channel. I think you had your channel up already, and I was watching some of your breakdowns and stuff that you would have. Obviously, especially your Jokic breakdowns, and I mean, your channel is popping, bro. People always ask me Cam, when you gonna start doing videos and editing and putting all the stuff out there? Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. That's not my boogie. Like, I'm gonna stand in front of the mic. I'm gonna deliver you a message, man. We're gonna talk hoops, but in terms of video content and editing, I'm gonna send them to you. I'm gonna send them to Alex, and I'm gonna send them to some other people, man, because y'all do it the best for real.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that.
So I don't know, man. We are recording this on March 21st, and on March 20th, we got a chance to see the Boston Celtics obliterate, destroy, dismantle, deunionize, whatever word you want to use, the Denver Nuggets, bro. And I mean, I think people have been paying attention to the Boston Celtics, man, but I don't think many non-Boston people are experiencing what's been happening with them since January 1st. And just to give some people some inside clues on how good they've been, the Boston Celtics have quietly had basically the best record in the NBA ever since the turn of the year. I want to say they're 27-9 this year. They're number one in net rating. Their defense has been outrageous. Bro, that starting five they have, let's even just say the addition of Derek White, but having Al Horford, having Time Lord, Jason Tatum is seemingly taking a first-team All-NBA step, as you so eloquently reminded me on Twitter the other day. And then obviously Jaylen Brown, who, I think it's the funniest thing that I think did he have more total turnovers than assists this year or something crazy like that?
Yeah, he might.
He's not a creator, but his mid-range game has been elite. His three-pointer has been great. I mean, he's been playing great defense as well. I mean, they were clamping. They were up 28 points against the Nuggets, and the Nuggets they were 16-4 in their last 20 and have been playing well, and they put them on the bookshelf, bro. So, man, I mean, what do you think about the Celtics, and why are they so good all of a sudden, it seems?
Well, like you said, they started 16-19 was their first 35 games. And that's when the narrative started. We got to split up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. There's got to be some another coaching change, all this stuff. And they just had the biggest turnaround, and they've been the best team in basketball for the calendar year of 2022. I think one of the huge changes was moving the defensive role of Robert Williams, putting him in more of a Ben Wallace role where he's not involved in all of the pick and roll action, but we're going to sit him in the corner and have him play every single week and help strong side coverage and just protect the rim at all times. Throw Al Horford in the actions because he can switch onto the perimeter even at however old he is. He's just as capable guarding small, quick guards. They just have such a good recipe. There's just so many. The versatility is what stands out. There's no situation where the Celtics are uncomfortable. And I wanted to throw this at you. That 5-man starting lineup you brought up, they are a plus 23.8 net rating. That starting five with a 96 defensive rating. It's just
and y'all, the starting five is if you wanted to put Derek White in, it'd be Derek White, it'd be Jaylen Brown, it'd be Jason Tatum, Time Lord, and then it would be Al Horford. And again, man, there's not a bad defender, and not even a bad defender. There's not an average defender in that unit.
Well,
Everybody is a good defender enough.
You even forgot Marcus Smart.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Marcus Smart, it's just, and then it's just their 7-man playoff rotation is just absurd. You got Marcus Smart, Derek White as the initiators. You got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on the wings. Al Horford, Grant Williams, Robert Williams. I mean, it's crazy. They just have so much shooting, so much passing, so much versatility on the defensive end. It's just crazy.
Do you think that Ime Udoka, the new coach for the Boston Celtics, do you think he's going to get a couple Coach of the Year nods?
He definitely will. I don't know if he'll win it because that's it's very hard to get into the actual differences in coaching. But what he's done with that unit, especially defensively, and his ability to maximize every player's role on the roster is just amazing. It's just amazing stuff.
Look, and then I'm telling you, man, like even watching Williams yesterday, he's shooting 43% from the three. You brought up a crazy stat before we aired that he's shooting 50% from the corner. Like, it's just the way that everybody seemingly is falling into place and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Everybody's accepting their role, but then it's just now they didn't switch heavy yesterday because obviously you can't switch when Jokic is there or even if Embiid is there. But the fact that they can just be like, look, let's put Al Horford on an island against most people, and he's at least going to be smart enough and have enough dexterity to be able to stay in front of you or not let you get to the rim, or at least significantly lower your rim percentage. And then having Robert Williams rotating in the back in the weak side help defense. I mean, it's just like, and again, man, like Robert. So I remember I asked some Celtics fans like a year ago. I was like, I would watch Time Lord play, and I'd be like, why does he not get more playing time? And they're like, well, you're still getting in shape, you're still figuring out the game.
Yeah, conditioning things, yeah.
Bro, that man is a monster, dog. Like,
he's so good.
He's so athletic, he's so intelligent, and he just understands defensive principles so well. Like, he has been astounding to watch, bro.
Yeah, and it's like just watching just the Nuggets game as an example, because that's the most fresh game in the mind when it comes to the Celtics.
Yeah.
Every single time the Nuggets had anything going to the rim, whether that was Jokic hitting a cutter, whether that was Monte Morris coming off a screen, Robert Williams was there every single time.
Right.
It was like there wasn't a missed rotation the entire game. And it's just, that speaks to his instincts, because you see it on the offensive end too with his passing and his decision making. Every time he touches the ball, he grabs it and he's already looking like, what's the best play I can make? Whether that's driving and dunking on someone, whether that's firing a skip pass to the corner. And then, like you said, once they score, they get back on defense, and now you're trying to score on the number one defense in the NBA, and it's just it's just like you described it as a well-oiled machine. That's exactly what it is. It's just
and again, I think there's just a lot. And that's why I think it speaks to coaching, man. The fact that you can have players that are bought into a scheme and again, it's like, a sample size of having the record that they've had over the last 3 months or so. Like, that's not a small thing. Again, 27-9. Like, that means you have bought in now for essentially 36 games and said, like, this is our identity. We're going to be swarming on defense. Offense, we know our principles. We know where we need to get to. Three-pointing, they've been shooting great from the three-point line. Again, having Jason Tatum take another step. Like, Jason Tatum has always been about this player the last year and a half or so, but like, now that everybody else is kind of getting up to that speed, and I think him and Jaylen Brown are also figuring out as well. I mean, both of them have 30. Now, granted, they shot 60% from the field. They shot 48% from three. They were going to be the first team since the Golden State Warriors, Kevin Durant team, to shoot a 60, 50, 100 game. But they ended up, when the bench came in at the end of the game, they went like 1 of 6, and so it took them to 48% in three. But like, again, I'm watching the game, and I'm just like, there's no way they're going to stay this hot. Because they had that, I think in the second quarter, they went on like a 28-5 run at one point in time, and it was just like, all right, man. Like, a part of this is the Nuggets are missing everything. But again, we'll talk about this in a minute in the MVP discussion. Like, they just don't have the gun. They don't have the weapons to be able to contend with somebody like that. Because the Celtics had everyone but one player yesterday. And again, man, just watching what they've done and going to the West and doing what they've done on other people's home course, being up 20, not having competitive games. And you can hear the Boston Celtics broadcast. They were just saying, like, I don't know when the next time they're going to get a competitive game, but look, I really like them, man. And, we can talk about them at the end of the episode as well. But I mean, look, I'm not going to be surprised if they come out of the East.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Like, I was talking about this where I don't know if, from a talent perspective, I think there are more talented teams in the East. Better, if you say, like the Philadelphia 76ers, I think are more talented. The Brooklyn Nets are probably still more talented. But in terms of just everything fitting together and coming together at the right time and just the two-way play, I don't think there's a better team than the Celtics when they're playing their best basketball, which has been this entire calendar year.
Right. Well, man, I'm curious, everybody's kind of been having this MVP discussion in terms of how do you approximate player value and, all this stuff. And I'm not going to lie, Hoop, like, I get a little frustrated with it just because I know, like, everybody has their biases. We have our biases. Everyone has biases. But, when I think about the MVP award, I do think that the NBA it's been educating itself for the last couple of years, because I feel like now more than ever, like the seeding, maybe, and again, you let me know too, last year, I feel like the seeding mattered, but like this year, I really feel like there's almost like the seeding is so irrelevant. And I think it's because so many teams are so hurt. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George haven't played together all year. The Nuggets haven't had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. You know, the 76ers didn't have Ben Simmons all year. And then, you know, even saw with the Milwaukee Bucks, they've been in and out of their lineup. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies are 14-2 without Ja Morant this season, which, you know, like what does that stuff even matter, right? So, like, are you saying like the Phoenix Suns or the Golden State Warriors or the Memphis Grizzlies, like, you know, should they have a better MVP candidate because they've had better teams and healthier teams around them as opposed to what Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis have had? Because those are the three best records in the world right now. So I don't know, man. Like, how do you think? And then we can get into the players. Like, how do you approximate value? Like, is it on-off court difference? Is it like the net rating? Is it the analytics? Is it the raw data, team records? Like, what do you put into the MVP discussion?
So my determination of a player's value has like a lot of different levels, right? Because there's what I'm watching, like what I'm picking up from watching. So I always try and look for a why and a how when I'm watching, right? Because the numbers are the what. And numbers can be inflated. Numbers can't always tell the exact story of what's happening. So when I watch a game, I'm looking for the why and the how. How is this happening? Why is it happening? And what's influencing it to happen. So when I'm watching a player, I try to evaluate their skill set, right? Because like a player's scoring, for example, will hold more value when there's more counters to it and it's holding up against better defenses. Just like a player's passing will look better. You can't just look at assists and turnovers. What's the level of difficulty in those passes? How many times are they leading to layups instead of tough mid-range looks? And it's things like that you really have to get into the intricacies of when you're watching the player. But when you're determining value, we have numbers that I know people are pretty anti-analytics. A lot of people are, but we have numbers that are good at approximating these things. They won't ever be 100% accurate because you can't put a number to how valuable a player is. It's just not possible. But when there's all of these indicators, I always like to use the word indicators. There are all of these indicators pointing to one guy, right? And it's like, how can that guy not be the most valuable? So when I'm trying to look at an MVP candidate, I'm not looking at it from the scope of what voters will vote. I hear that always brought up in arguments where it's like, well, you got to look at how it's historically voted. When I'm looking at MVP, I'm looking at it by my definition, which is most valuable player to their team, because that's what MVP stands for. Mm-hmm. So when I'm looking at an MVP, I try to almost look at situation. I look at it as like the situational value award. In the situation that they're in, who is the most valuable player to their team? And for me, it's been Jokic this season. I think there are other arguments. Like I wouldn't be mad if Giannis or Embiid won it. By the method of historical voting, it would probably be Giannis. But personally, for me, the most valuable player has been Jokic. And like I said, all of these indicators just point to one guy, and not just one guy with an edge, one guy above the rest. Where it's not like, oh, he's first in a couple of metrics and this guy's showing up consistently. It's always Jokic, and then it's like the group of Giannis, Embiid, Curry, Tatum, Luka, guys like that. Yeah. And for me, that's like pretty indicative of his value as a player.
Yeah, and I think that's the frustrating thing. It's like, and I've said this before many times, I think honestly the reason people have such an issue, and I don't think it's people, I think it's particular communities, basketball community. There's the real hoopers know community. It's some of those folks that have a real intrinsic bias for the play style that Jokic has, but even obviously where he's located, that's not one of the three biggest markets in the world. And I think as much as people like want to say like Joel Embiid is a standalone great player, obviously he is, but it does help that he's in Philadelphia. I think that's mattered. I think the conversation around him and Ben Simmons, like that's mattered. But again, if you weigh just the net rating, the on-off, you weigh the advanced analytics, you weigh the team success, you weigh the contributions from teammates. Again, I don't think if we're saying like, hey, this player has meant the most to his team's ability to win and function at an elite level, I don't think there's anyone that meets all of those standards like Nikola Jokic has this season. Now, if you want to say the analytics data like is skewed because it favors play style, the fact that he accumulates so many points, rebounds, and assists, okay, like I understand what you're saying. But again, even if you look like the on-off, but a lot of people say, well, the on-off is skewed because his bench was so bad. But now people are saying, well, his bench is so good, so he's getting bailed out of games. Like when they played the 76ers and, and Jokic has 22, 13, 8, two blocks, 2 steals. Everybody's like, oh, Joel Embiid had 34 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. He was clearly the better player because of a point amount. And I'm just like, well, and he got bailed out by the bench, they say about Jokic. But I'm just like, well, what is the actual issue? Because again, man, like I think that Embiid has a case. I think Giannis have a case. But I think if you're saying like player per player in terms of player value, it's been one person this entire season that has set the standard for like everybody else has been trying to catch up this year. And that includes Giannis. And I've been a big Giannis supporter. I think arguing, we can have this discussion too. I think he has had a better season than Joel Embiid in a lot of cases. And I think the numbers point to that in a lot of ways as well. But I think people are just tired of watching him win and they don't want to see him win a third in 4 years. And so I saw Kendrick Perkins the other day. He talked about how it was Giannis Antetokounmpo's time to win MVP. He won those back-to-back. Last year, it was Nikola Jokic. He played 72 games. There's always that qualifier, right? He played the entire season. He won the MVP. This year, this is Joel Embiid's time because he's as healthy as he's ever been. I just feel like it's his turn to win. I'm like, bro, this ain't no charity.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not like turns.
We're not doing this like changing hands every year. Like it doesn't have to be a new homecoming king every year. This ain't high school. Like who is the best player? And again, man, like the Nuggets are sitting tied for the sixth seed. They're the 7 because of the tiebreaker with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're 42-30. But I'm just like, so I want to share this with you. I don't know if you're aware of this stat, but Ryan Blackburn, who is a great content creator, he's a writer for the Denver Stiffs. He does a lot of great, amazing work. He actually put a tweet out that I just thought was incredulous, bro. Listen to this. So over the last 10 games in the Nuggets points per game, Jokic's averaging 30.1 points per game over the last 10 games. The next closest player is averaging 13.7.
Yeah.
And they're still winning. Like, there's no other player on his team averaging more than 15 points a game, and Jokic's averaging 26 points a game. That's over any MVP in the modern era. That is going to be the largest gap between a reigning MVP and his points per game and the second best player's points per game in the modern era. That's the furthest drop off we've ever seen. And I feel like people are like, the Nuggets have a good roster around and look at how they're performing. The other people are like, well, they have a terrible roster around and look what Jokic's doing. And I feel like it's in the middle there, bro. Like they're good, but they're good because they're having historically great play for one of the greatest peaks we've ever seen. But I feel like people don't want to put that in context because it doesn't fit their narrative,
Yeah. And it's like a lot of times people talk about, look at the players around Jokic and how they're playing. I don't think it gets talked about enough that a lot of these players are playing the way they do because their play style is elevated by Jokic. When Jokic has the ball on the perimeter, he's taking away the other team's best rim protector. How that does wonders in opening an offense. It's the same thing that we always talk about with Steph Curry, where it's like because he's pulling the defense away from the rim, you can get so much going, get so many layups. It's the same thing with Jokic, and when compounded with his ability to just hold the ball right here and basically pick apart a defense like Tom Brady, I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no way to stop him. And it's just, I can't remember who it was, but there was a commentator for a game that was like emphatically stating, you cannot stop Jokic. It doesn't matter what defense he's playing. You just have to hope he's missing. Like that's really all it comes down to. It's like, there's no way to just take away his game. And I think that goes for a lot of superstars, but in particular with Jokic, when he's going, the team is going more than any other offensive player right now. So for me, he's just been clearly the most valuable player on the offensive side of the ball. And that's without accounting for the fact that the dude is a very clear positive on the defensive end, right? And it's just, I like to look at, like I said, determining a player's value. I don't think it's as simple as if you took this player off of their team, how many wins would the team have? I don't think it's that simple. because in certain situations, it's harder to add wins. Like, take a 60-win team, for example. Say you add a player to a 60-win team, he's not going to make them an 82-win team.
Right.
But if you put that same guy on a 30-win team, he might make them a 52-win team.
Mm-hmm.
There's differences. It becomes harder to add wins as you get better and better on a team, right? And the Nuggets, they're below replacement level without him, like far below replacement level without him, and they're 12 games above 500. He's not only floor raising, he's floor raising to the level that they're competing. They're only a few games back from third seed in their conference.
Yeah.
And they're not even close to a replacement level team without him. Like, I just think that speaks volumes to the degree that he's floor raising right now.
Yeah, and I think that, and this interesting point you make, and I think if people say like, well, if you're so great, you know, why are you not better in the seeding? And I think, again, if you look at Kevin Durant, he came to a 73-9 win team. They didn't win 75 games the next year. They were in their 60s.
They lost 6 more.
Yeah, exactly. They dropped off. And so that's a part of it. It's just like they went 67-15, but they were also a much better basketball team. It's just they just had off night. They weren't gunning like they were the year before. And I think the thing with Jokic is like, you know, people like the thing is like the thing around Jokic, there's not like an argument against him being the most valuable player. Like there's not like you can say like, well, there's something he's not doing well. Now, again, if you're saying like, you know, he could be better in spots as like a rim protector or whatever else it is, I'm like, all right, cool. But like he's probably never going to be like a great rim protector, but that's the point. Right. Like the Nuggets aren't going to let you just get to the rim whenever you want either, because they know that. Like he's also improved as a pick and roll defender. He's improved in his contesting percentages and all that. And my whole thing is just like, I think that there's clear arguments for Embiid. I think there's clear arguments for Giannis. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't think there's any argument for Ja Morant. To me, being 14-2 without your best player, I just don't think there's an actual like basketball analysis that can say like, oh yeah, like this person is a top 3 to 4 candidate. I just don't think you can do that. Yeah. That's the point. Like we're talking value to your organization. And again, you know, people can say like, hey, like, well, you know, Embiid had better numbers, but who won? But that's a part. It's not just a one-on-one matchup, but like if you watch the way the Nuggets play against Washington, they had this great 2014 San Antonio Spurs moment where they had 8 passes in one possession and led to an Aaron Gordon dunk on a Jokic last time assist. And they used the entire shot clock. And the thing about it was like, that's because of Jokic. Like Jokic has influenced them to such a degree that they have more communication offensively and defensively because of his presence. And again, man, I'm sorry. You're telling me the dude has a 65% true shooting on 26, 14, and 8, and you got me wondering, like, there's not, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, call me biased, call me whatever you want. I feel like, again, I grew up with Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. Those are my dogs. But once I started watching Nikola Jokic play, I was just like, bro, like, that's the best thing I'm watching over the last 2 seasons. And I just think that it's clear that he's the MVP now. Again, man, the Nuggets are fighting to stay out of the play-in, even though they have 42 wins. The 76ers had 43 wins. The Bucks have 44 wins. So, like, again, without his roster, without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr., they're in position to be chasing that 3 or 4 seed with 10 games left to go. So, like I said, man, and again, you know, the national conversation seemed to have switched over to Jokic because, again, Stephen A. Smith came out, said he's my favorite right now. You got Richard Jefferson saying he's probably the favorite for me right now. Watching the King, watching these other games, these people come out and say, like, yeah, if I had to give it somebody, most likely it would be Jokic. And again, man, like I know the MVP award is narrative. It's like, look, they beat the 76ers with James Harden, Joel Embiid. And again, Joel Embiid can have off nights now because he had James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and these other players. Okay, Jokic shot 8 of 23 versus the Boston Celtics. They got blown out by 20-plus points. That's the difference. Like, he has to be historically great for them to have any chance versus a good team. So, I don't know, man. I just feel like this whole season has been beautiful to watch. But we talked about this before. I want to get your opinion on air. Do you think that, because the Nuggets right now are really hoping that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are basically able to be all-star level replacement players, which I think they are, but they're hoping that they're going to turn this team into a juggernaut, which I think if everybody's healthy, there's an opportunity for them to do so because, again, having to deal with Jamal and Michael Porter and having to deal with Jokic is way different than dealing with Monte Morris and Will Barton and Jeff Green, right? Do you think that the Nuggets, as is with the healthy pieces, have a chance to be like the best team in the NBA?
100%. And I've believed that for years. I tweeted during the bubble, before the playoffs, so it was before the 3-1 leads and stuff. It was like a tweet on one of my old Twitter accounts that it was like the Nuggets roster and their ages. It was like Jokic age, Murray age, Michael Porter Jr. age. I was like, if this team all gets healthy at the right time, they're a problem. And it's still, and that was before Jokic took this massive leap to like a top 15, 16 peak ever. It's like the level that he's at right now, combined with what Michael Porter Jr. does as a complimentary scorer off the ball, what he does for that team rebounding the ball, what Jamal Murray does as a creator and in that two-man game. I believe that the fully healthy Nuggets are the best offense in the NBA, if not second to the Utah Jazz. I think those are the two best offenses in the NBA. And I don't want to say that the Nuggets are missing a piece because I'm not sure if they are, but I would like to see just a minor improvement and get some more defensive forwards. I think that's the one thing that would really take them to another level. Because like I said, the play style of Jokic when he's pulling rim protectors out, you can put in a player like that's not a good offensive player and have them produce positive impact. I want to use Matisse Thybulle as an example. Like a guy like Matisse Thybulle wouldn't be bleeding any value because of what Jokic does offensively to open up those type of cutting opportunities and things like that.
Yeah.
So having a forward like that who can honestly cover for Jokic's main weakness on the defensive end, which is like rim protection once the ball gets there, like a Robert Covington type of player, I think would take them to another level. And even as is, with Aaron Gordon kind of playing that role and Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. coming back and assuming they're at the level they were when they both got hurt. I think they're 100% tier 1 contenders. I'm not sure I would say they're the best team in the league, but tier 1 contenders for sure, because we talked about how championships involve luck. If everything went right, they're 100% a championship level team.
Yeah, and I've been saying this for a couple months now, bro, but I think Josh Hart would be a perfect fit next to Jokic at that 2 spot, just because he's not going to be a high usage player. And again, the only people that don't really know about Josh Hart, or most people, it's just because, again, if you're not in the Portland market now or the New Orleans market before, then you don't really understand how he plays. But again, Josh Hart is 6'6", 215 pounds, and he's a great switchable athlete, meaning that like I can put him on Damian Lillard, Trae Young, Steph Curry, but I can also then put him in certain situations on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George because of how big he is. But he also has the athleticism to stay with smaller players. But he's also not he's not your Marcus Smart level defender, but he is going to be around that Aaron Gordon level defender of like in different opportunities, he's very good, but in some opportunities he can be average. But again, I don't think you need elite defense next to Yoke. You just need a good defender on the perimeter and a good wing defender, which is Aaron Gordon. I honestly think that'd be enough. And to give him some size, because, man, I think Will Barton does a lot of great things for a basketball team. So I just think Will Barton, and then you tell me, you're outside the market, bro. Like, so you don't have any bias per se, but I know there's a lot of Will Barton hate. I really have tried to support him, and I think there's a role for him, obviously, on a good team. I think he's a 5th option, but I don't know, man. I'm probably getting close to out on the Will Barton train, just because I just think like if you just had, again, a Josh Hart level replacement player in that spot who knew what they're supposed to be doing and committed to one side of the ball, I think that would be enough.
Yeah, Will Barton is just, I mean, he has moments where he looks like a very, very capable starter, where he's like hitting his shots, he's within the flow of the offense. But there's too many times where it just feels like he doesn't know his role. Where he's like, he'll get the ball and he'll look to break down his defender in an isolation pull-up three-pointer. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's okay to have players like that when they make up for it on the other end.
Right.
Will Barton doesn't.
That's the part.
Will Barton doesn't. He'll do the stuff. He'll do things on the offensive end that make you scratch your head. Then he'll go on the defensive end and fly by Jason Tatum on the 3-point line. And because that happened, the one that I know you were talking about that a lot, how Will Barton kept jumping out on the perimeter. When I knew it was cooked for him, I saw him run off Jason Tatum to close out to Derek White, and I knew it was wraps. I was like, Derek White is a 29% three-point shooter. What are you closing out on him for while Jason Tatum is who you're running off of? Like, come on, you got to know. It's just knowing. It's just knowing your role and knowing your opponent. And I just feel like Will Barton has too many lapses on both ends where it's like, can he fit within the team system that wants to win a championship? And I just don't know.
And that's the thing, man. I always tell people, man, like, look, man, if you're not a superstar, if you're not a star, then you need to know, pick your spots. And my thing with Will and players of that ilk is like, look, if you're going to have an off night offensively, you need to have an on night defensively. If you're going to have an off night defensively, you need to be on offensively and or especially rebounds. Because that's effort, right? That's like effort and body placement. Yeah. But if you're going to be off on all three of those and you're a role player, there is no use for you on a basketball team. Austin Rivers, say what you want. He's the best point of attack defender they have, and he's been a great off-ball defender at the guard spot this season. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. But again, man, having Jeff Green, JaMychal Green, they fit their role well. DeMarcus Cousins, in a lot of ways, has fit his role well. Bones Highland has been great. Bogey. He has fit his role really well. And my thing with Will is just like, you're 31 years old. You're the most experienced person on this team, but yet this is where it really got me yesterday, bro. So they were down 16. They're making a run in the fourth quarter, and the Nuggets they're historically known for making double-digit runs in the second half. Will Barton, he flies by Jason Tatum on a three, which made no sense. Of course, he made it. The next play down after a missed basket, Will Barton is standing past the three-point line on Jason Tatum, not paying attention to what's happening around him. He's ball watching, gets backdoored for a Jason Tatum dunk. Timeout, Coach Malone, they're down 21, game's over. I'm just like, if you're not going to have any offensive value, what are you doing? And again, bro, this is not just a primarily Will Barton thing. This is that whenever you're a role player and you're being paid money to do a job, like if you had a video editor, if you paid somebody to come work on your house, like, okay, you're supposed to be fixing my sink. Why are you in my room trying to put together a bed and doing it in a poor job? Like, you have one job, just do that. And that's what I don't get. Like, Jokic is literally doing and this is the thing, bro. I brought this up the other day. Nikola Jokic is the second player since 1980 that's going to lead his team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, and field goal percentage. It's him and LeBron James in 2008 and 9 and 2017, 2018 LeBron and Jokic. So help me. What is your value? Like, if he's doing all that, you can't do this one thing. I don't know, bro. It doesn't make sense to me.
And also, on the topic of like knowing your role, I think as great as Aaron Gordon's been this season, I feel like he has a problem with that on offense too sometimes. I can't tell you how many times I'll be watching the game and other teams will put their smallest player on Aaron Gordon and he'll post up like 6 possessions in a row. Like, I remember the beginning of the Warriors game, they had Steph Curry on him.
Right.
And Aaron Gordon started the game like 0 for 5 because he kept trying to post up Steph Curry.
Right.
Like, that's another thing. Like, yes, you can try it a couple times a game, like give that player a touch, let him get in rhythm. But like, when you're force feeding a role player, what are you doing?
Yeah, and what do you think about this? Because I think that's a part of the issue, though. Like, I think when you're having role players, because Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. aren't available, I think again, some nights everybody clicks, but I think a lot of this is like, it's hard to know what exactly you're supposed to be doing on a night-by-night basis when you're missing those players, So I think, again, they tried to make it work. Again, they're 42-30. That's great considering the fact. Yeah. And again, people can say what they want. I brought this up last year, but, Steph Curry didn't make the playoffs last year. They lost in the play-in, and everybody was saying, like, the win pace they were on and this. And I'm like, look, man, he was great last year, but I think that's a part of the issue is like his ability to floor raise last year compared to what Jokic's doing this year. I do think Jokic's just been better in terms of his floor raising ability. I think because of his skill. Again, I've told you this before. I think playmaking is the most valuable asset in basketball. Like, I don't think there's anything more important than that. Scoring, defense, whatever you want to say. But having an all-time playmaker relative to his position, especially, to be able to be the floor of your team and get them to this place, man, like it's historically great. Again, a 65% true shooting. People hear that and they're like, I remember I had a Clippers fan in one of my Twitter spaces say, well, DeAndre Jordan, he had like a 70% true shooting. So like, how valuable is that stat? I'm like, all right, okay, let's DeAndre Jordan, Nikola Jokic as a scorer. Like, let's limit that. But that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, he is a outside perimeter mid-range threat, and he's an interior threat as well. He's a 3-level scorer, a volume scorer, taking 17 shots a game, and he has a 65% true shooting. Like, that's unheard of. It's unheard of, bro. Like, absolutely unheard of.
It's like, I mean, I hate when people do that true shooting percentage thing that you just described. Like, they'll be like, oh, is Rudy Gobert an MVP too? Because he's 73. Like, man, I used to interact with this one guy on Twitter every now and then, and he would always, every time I'd bring up true shooting percentage, relative true shooting percentage, he'd be like, it's pointless if you're not adjusting for roll. And it really made me think, like, true shooting percentage relative to roll should be a real thing. It might be, but like, I think B-Ball Index, if you're familiar with their site, I think they have something like that where it's like they give their offensive archetype, they give like an offensive archetype, and they do stats relative to those archetypes. And for a heavy post isolation scorer to be that high in true shooting, like on that level of volume, I can only think of like 2 other volume scorers, maybe 3 or 4, to really match that efficiency, and that's Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. LeBron James, I mean, it's those guys. It's not like
Karl Anthony Towns is there as well, but he's also not the same level of scorer as Jokic, man. Yeah.
And also a lot of Towns plays, admittedly, I would say he has a lot more plays as like a play finisher as opposed to like generating an opportunity out of nothing.
Right.
And I think that's what Embiid excels at, like generating an opportunity out of nothing. But even then, like as efficient as he is, he's still like 4 or 5 percentage points below Jokic.
Yeah.
Which is like people don't really realize how much of a difference 4% true shooting is. It's like the difference between there's like an equivalent. I'm pretty sure true shooting percentage times 2. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's like a rough offensive rating on like scoring attempts. I could be wrong again, but like I'm pretty sure true shooting percentage times 2 is like close to an estimate of offensive rating. That would mean Jokic's scoring attempts are 130.
Bro, his Joel Embiid's true shooting percentage is 29th in the NBA, and is behind several volume scorers, including LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, Domantas Sabonis. I mean, you got your Jonas Valanciunas and all that, but again, not volume scored. But Joel Embiid has a 60.9% true shooting now. Jokic has a 65.2 on less shots, and again, on a similar shot profile, not as many mid-range shots, but again, similar shot profile. Again, bro, it's asinine to watch this man play. And again, I've said this before. I think you've said this too. There's an argument that Jokic's been the best scorer in the NBA the last 2 seasons from, again, volume, true shooting, effective field goal percentage. And I don't know, man. I just, like I said, I really do hope the NBA recognizes. I think there's another. I do think that if the Nuggets make it into the playoffs as a 6th to 5th to 4th seed, I think he wins the MVP because I think the national conversation has really shifted. But again, people are going to look at that play-in like, oh, he's in the play-in. How good is he?
I genuinely think if the Nuggets finish in the play-in, I wouldn't be surprised if there was just like this massive swing in voting in the difference between 7 and 6, even though it's like a 1-game difference. Like in the eyes of voters, like when they're putting together their ballot, they're like, oh, this guy might not even make the playoffs. Like, they're not going to have an MVP that can potentially miss the playoffs. So I do think, like I said, my pick Jokic above the rest without question. But how are voters going to look at that play-in spot if he's 7th? I don't think there's a route where Jokic wins it in 7th. I don't think that would happen.
Yeah, and what's funny is this is my dream, bro. My dream is that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., like they have their late scratch to come back against the Lakers game or something like that or whatever, then they're ready for the first round. They can give you I think Porter can give you 100% of himself because he's more healthy. Like coming back from a back surgery 3 months ago, or 4 months ago now, but as opposed to Jamal Murray coming back from the ACL injury, he's not going to be 100% until next season. Right. But there's a world in which he gets both of them back, and the rest of the NBA, Memphis, Grizzlies, wherever you want, they're just watching this team offensively in the first round, and it's just like, all right, like,
yeah,
I don't know what you do here, because again, Jokic is better than he's ever been, and he has not played next to an all-star caliber player this entire time. So you put two people in that system, man, with two players that are like above replacement by like a decent amount, and when your best offensive player isn't Bones Highland, like, again, man, I just think that's going to be significant. But anyway, so rookie of the year, I don't know, bro. Scotty Barnes really impressed me to start the year off. He's been very good. At different points, I've been really impressed with Cade Cunningham. Different points, Jalen Green gives me that real like score inefficiency vibe over his course of his career. Like, I'm not sure like how great he's gonna be, because again, that's one of Luka's issues. A lot of Mavs fans are saying, why didn't Doncic in the MVP discussion? I'm like, well, he has a 55% true shooting on volume with the highest usage in the NBA. Like, he started playing really well the last like 6 weeks, but like that matters. Like, that's not good. He has a true shooting 10% lower than Nikola Jokic. Like, that's far. Like, that's really far. So like, even offensively, you can't even put him in the same category just because of that metric in some ways. I don't know, bro. I honestly think, looking at rookie of the year, it might be Evan Mobley, bro.
I agree.
He's been so good.
It's like, it's the thing for me is it's rookie of the year, right? Not best rookie.
Right.
Whereas, like, it reminds me of LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. Like, by the end of their rookie season, you could argue Anthony Edwards was playing better basketball to close out the season.
Right.
But LaMelo just had it from the beginning. That's how it is with Evan Mobley. These recent stretches from Jalen Green have been amazing ever since he started getting more touches. Right. He's been amazing. Same with Cade Cunningham. I think he's already like a ridiculously talented playmaker as a rookie. But again, he's 7% below league average efficiency. He's like 49% true shooting. Like, and then there's Scotty Barnes, who I think it makes a very compelling case. Wait.
Why does Toronto and Usai Ujiri only have 6'8" to 6'11" athletes? Like, did you see what they did to Embiid the other day? Like, they're just it's unbelievable. And Scotty Barnes is going to play point guard for that team. Mark it. He's going to play point guard for that team, and Van Fleet's going to be the number 2 at some point in time, bro.
I wouldn't be surprised. And did you see the lineup? I think it was very recently the Nuggets played the Raptors. It couldn't have been too long ago. Yeah. Did you see the lineup they put out in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
It was like...
It was Kim. Well, who was it? It was Scotty Barnes. It was Pascal Siakam. I think it was OG didn't play that game, but just put OG in there as well. Boucher, and then Kim Birch, I think, was at center.
I remember the shortest player was 6'8". Scotty Barnes was the smallest player in the lineup. They were like, we are not letting Jokic beat us.
Yeah.
Just send all of our length, and it's like,
look, I think there's value to that, bro. Like, you're gonna run into your Embiid issues every so often, or your Jokic, but you're not playing another Jokic. Like, that's the thing. Like, you go zone or you do that matchup man-to-man defense they do, you're not running into Jokic in the Eastern Conference. So, like, if you decide, hey, against the Boston Celtics, against the 76ers, against the Milwaukee Bucks, you want to do that match man defense they do with that Nick Nurse stuff they do? Like, bro, I'm telling you, man, they're gonna be a nightmare for somebody. Because in the end, not to skip reps, Pascal Siakam might be third team All-NBA at forward this year because he's been exceptional the whole rest of 2022.
Yeah. And I don't know what the standings currently look like, but who are the Raptors projected to play in the first round? Is it Milwaukee right now?
Well, they're projected to play, I think they're the 6th seed right now. They're projected to stay 3 seeds. So would that be, that's the 76ers, or is that
3 is 76ers, but the Celtics are probably going to get up to 2. I think the Celtics will get up to 2 by the end of the year.
You think the Celtics are going to get up to 2?
They're only like, I think they're only like 1 game behind 2 right now.
Yeah, let me see.
They can't lose.
The Celtics, oh my gosh, bro. The Celtics.
They don't lose games.
The Celtics are 3.5 games tied They're 3.5 game back. They're tied with the 76ers. So right now the Heat won, the Bucks, the 76ers, the Celtics, the Bulls, the Cavaliers, and the Raptors are sitting at the 7th seed. So wow,
that's the problem. If there's a very good chance that the Raptors face. I think the Raptors could do some damage against the Bucks. I think putting out those lengthy lineups against Giannis could be scary. It could be scary. Now, I wouldn't pick them to beat the Bucks at all, no question. But all of that length against Giannis is terrifying for your offense. But the Celtics, like I said, the Celtics, I just
bro, the Celtics are 3.5 games behind the 1 seed right now, and there's a very real world they move up to. They're a half game behind the Bucks right now for number 2, bro.
And that's what I'm saying. And they can't lose games. They don't lose. They win like every game they play.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I'm actually like, forgive me, Celtics fans. I'm actually shocked that like they moved up that quickly. So
so the Celtics,
right now they're scheduled to play against the Bulls, bro. Do you know how like that might be a 4-1 series, bro?
Celtics would wipe the Bulls. No question. No question.
Could you imagine Vooch trying to score against Time Lord and Al Horford?
Imagine DeRozan trying to work in between with all of that versatility. Jaylen Brown's matching up with DeRozan, and if he beats him, he's met with Time Lord. Like, oh man! And the Bulls, aren't they 0-15 against top 3 teams?
Can you explain that to me? What's going on with the Bulls? Why can't they beat like top tier teams?
I think there are blatant issues in their team building and like talent level that it's like it's only apparent when they're facing teams that have the personnel to take advantage of it. Like DeRozan, he still has the same issues. I think he's gotten better, but like there's still issues with his scoring. Like it's just
do you think Alonzo Ball? Well, now that Patrick Williams is back, do you think Alonzo Ball, Jaylen Brown, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, and Vooch lineup, do you think that they could actually like contend with anybody in the East? Like, if you put that out there, do you think they would be good, or do you think Vooch is going to be that much of a liability in particular?
It's just like I realize how good the Bulls are, and I like the way that lineup fits together, but it just gives me like there's something about it. Like I look at these top teams in the East, like just go down the top 4. Like, can you see the Bulls even competing in a series with any of those 4 teams?
I'm not gonna lie to you though, but if you put like an Alonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan lineup out, I think that's like I can see that doing some damage. Now the thing with the Heat, and people don't like the Heat. Like the only time I've really seen the Heat just get overmatched is when they play the Nuggets, because their play style with playing against Jokic, it's just like it doesn't work. They've been double digited 3 of the last 4 games versus the Nuggets, and it's only because like they don't have an answer. But when they go zone, when they play against Embiid, it's a nightmare. They're playing tonight. Embiid's not even playing. I'm like, good, because I don't need to see that. I don't need to see this anymore. But like, I think the Heat, I think they can be got, but I don't think that the Bulls have the personnel to do it. I mean, the Bucks, they just have the better player. Like, they're not stopping Giannis.
Right. The Bucks are it's just too much. Like, especially with. I don't want to say leap because it's pretty rare for a player to leap at this age, but Drew Holiday is a different player this year than he was last year. I think it's just him getting more used to the system. Like him just getting more used to playing with Giannis. He's just been better. And
Drew Holiday has one of those sneaky offensive games where you don't expect him to be like a great creator, but like no, like he could actually get to the basket when he wants to if he needs to. He just doesn't do it all the time.
Right, it's like oh we took out we effectively made Giannis shoot a poor percentage. Drew Holiday had 34 and 8. Where did that come from? I remember there was a game like that in the finals.
Is there a better pound for pound perimeter? Well, let me say better pound for pound defender, but is there a better perimeter defender than Drew Holiday?
I think so.
Who?
I think Marcus Smart's a better defender than Drew Holiday.
You think Marcus Smart's a better defender than Drew Holiday?
Yeah.
Drew Holiday is 6'4", 200 and what? Now, he's bigger. I think he has better hands. I think he has better hands than Marcus Smart.
I just think Marcus Smart is. Maybe you could make the argument that Drew Holiday is a better man-to-man defender, but what Marcus Smart does, like around the nail specifically, like he's everywhere. Yeah. Like Marcus Smart is just the guy that. Maybe one-on-one. I mean, Marcus Smart's still a phenomenal one-on-one defender, but like sometimes you'll see players get the best of him. But like from a
Wow.
team perspective, you don't want to go against Marcus Smart because he's gonna just make you mad.
Well,
He's
off
gonna
ball,
be
I would say
everywhere.
with off ball, you need to be aware of Marcus Smart is at all times. Because his ability to get in passing lanes or even off the double team, sneak off double team, it's just exceptional. So I do think you need to be fully aware of what Marcus Smart is. But I don't know, man. Drew Holiday, like Kevin Durant even said it. He's the best defender in the NBA. He said this 2 years ago. I think there's an argument that if he really wanted to be that kind of defender, I think he could be on a game-by-game basis.
I don't know. I do think Drew of just a few years ago, like I would say 2018 Drew was on another level defensively. But I do think he's regressed on that end a bit. But like I think he's also gotten better offensively. So I don't think he's really regressed as a player. But I would say just he's not. I don't think he's as switchable as he was just a few years ago. So
Against bigs or just against guards?
Well, mostly against like bigger wings, like
what?
against like a. No. I'm not saying he's not switchable. I'm saying as switchable because, like I said, Drew Holiday of a few years ago could give Kevin Durant serious problems. I don't think he'd be able to give Kevin Durant serious problems anymore.
I think if you gave him a finals and you said like, look, I need you to be able to. If I had to pick a guard to be able to switch between playing against, Joel Embiid, but who's a center a tier below Joel Embiid? Karl Anthony Towns. If you say I need you to be able to guard Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, I think he could do it because I just think he just is so strong in the post. But again, I'm not mad at Marcus Smart for being the best perimeter defender in the league because there's a possibility.
Also, I want to float this name out there. A guy
who
no, he's up there though. He's up there. I feel like Matisse Thybulle is more of a forward though. I would say he's more of a forward. But I want to throw another name out there because I feel like just because he's a low minute player, it kind of gets ignored. I want to throw Gary Payton II in there too.
Yeah, he's been great.
He's really good.
I
remember they were showing his like statistical profile. It was a Ben Taylor tweet where it was like comparing his defensive statistical profile to like Nate McMillan and Gary Payton, and he was trumping them.
Wait, why wasn't he like in the league? Like what was the deal with Gary? He's a great athlete. He's like 6'4". He's fast. He's very strong. Like, why wasn't he in the league?
And he's shooting like almost 40% from three while being an elite lob threat at like 6'4".
Right.
I don't know how. I don't know what it was because he was trying out for the Warriors for like 2 years and he just never got a spot.
Do you think that's the Warriors system that makes him that much better?
I think the Warrior system definitely elevates him on both ends, but like, I don't think it's to the point. I think he'd be a good role player on any team. Like, imagine Gary Payton next to Jokic.
I can't because we've never had a perimeter defender that good except for Gary Harris.
I know, but even on offense, like imagine Gary Payton cutting for them lobs. Like they run a lot of lob actions for him on that team. You know that one play where they get the ball in the to a post player on the elbow and they set a down screen and they lob it over the top.
I love it. Yeah. So I think Gary Payton's great. I think that's probably one of your. If I said my 4 favorites right now, probably Gary Payton, probably Matisse, then obviously Drew, then even. Marcus Smart as well. I think there's some good perimeter defenders, and it just so happens that. Look, man, I don't know if people realize. I think Caruso got hated on because he was with the Lakers. I feel like everybody, and I mean, I genuinely mean this. He got that white boy boost with the Lakers. You know what that means? Like, it's the same thing that Austin Reeves is getting right now. Like, look at Austin Reeves, this clutch time player. Like, he's all right, but Alex Caruso, since he left, has been so freaking good, and I was so mad that he got purposely injured like he did because he was having a great season. Like he might have made the first or second team all defense this year.
I think so. I think he would have made an all defensive team. And I like how you brought up like the white boy boost because that's so true. Like I remember the first time he got that putback dunk on like a when LeBron got there and he got like a putback dunk. They were like, oh, he's Michael Jordan. All the memes came instantly. It's like the balding white dude dunking on everyone.
Exactly. I think
that kind of overshadowed him. That overshadowed him being a great role player.
He was
like the memes. Because even his last year in LA, he was like analytically a top 10 defender in the league.
Right.
On his last year.
And I know Anthony Davis was great, that 2020 championship team, but the fact that they had KCP and Alex Caruso on the perimeter, it was, again, people undersell, what LeBron does attract is good defenders. If he ever attracts anything, he knows his game. He knows that I can't be the best perimeter defender on each possession. Bruh, having Alex Caruso, having KCP, excellent, bro. So like, I
Yeah.
really like him, man. I'm really surprised to let him go, but he's doing really well with the Bulls. I really think that lineup, if you had Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso start like playing together, they would be elite on the perimeter, and they would just have to. It's just that wing defense that'd be the issue.
Well, their defense was amazing to start the year. It was before it
Right.
wasn't until the injuries they started to taper off. It was like they were a top 10 defense for all the way, like even like a top 5 defense for a long time
Yeah.
with those two at the point of attack, and they both have so much versatility too that gets understated, especially off the ball. Like what Lonzo Ball and Caruso do to just, if there's any two players that are just like right place, right time, it's those two every time. Like I can't think of a time where Levine would get blown by and you're just met by Lonzo Ball and Caruso every time.
Yeah, I don't look, man. There's a world where I wanted Lonzo Ball to play for Denver. I think he would be great next to Jokic, having a great 6'6" perimeter guard who's also a creator, who also is a good shooter, who shot better than Trae Young last year. Like he's great. He's a really good player. But I don't know. You're right, bro. Like honestly, they might be able to beat the Cavaliers, but I think they can't beat the Heat. They can't beat the Bucks. They can't beat the 76ers. They definitely can't beat the Celtics. They can't beat the Raptors. They can't beat the Nets. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I think they just it's just like the middle of their team in particular.
Yeah, it's just I don't even think it's like anything specific. I just don't think they're at those teams' levels. I just don't think they're at that level.
That because
all it really comes down to.
DeMar can't reach a peak high enough to outdo their best player across the court.
Not only that, like I do think that's a factor. I do think I obviously I'll eat my words, but like I want to see playoff DeRozan still, because
what does that mean? Like, because the court shrinks, so is he going to get the mid range off to the same degree?
That's the thing. Historically speaking, he's been the hardest decliner in NBA history. He's the biggest playoff faller in NBA history, like objectively. And I do think he's gotten better with his counters and his handle and like his ability to actually just manufacture those looks even with tighter coverage.
Yeah.
But like I said, if they face the Celtics, man, DeMar DeRozan's gonna be in hell. Like that's the best way to describe it.
Because I mean, they have 4 people that can legit defend him very well. Brown, Tatum, Smart, and White would all be able to defend him very well.
And Horford. Horford too.
You're right.
Like, it's like and
who do you switch on to? So if you had to pick your poison, this has turned into a Celtics love cast. But like, if you had to pick your poison, which of those defenders would you actually want a one-on-one versus if you were like a wing perimeter scorer?
None. like it's just, I guess depending on like how quick you are, you would probably want Horford just because he's the slowest of the pack. But like, I guess if I was DeRozan, I would want Derek White, just for the simple fact that I think DeRozan is very good at using his height advantage to get over people.
Yeah.
I remember
even if you get to your spot though, bro, like they're not going to leave you on an island. Like Time Lord's coming, Horford's coming. Somebody's going to get in your grill.
Who was it that DeRozan? It was a good defender. It was a great defender. Even I remember DeRozan posted him up, made a mid range over him, and then did the too small thing.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Yeah,
I can't remember who it was, but like I know DeRozan's really good at that, where he just uses his size to his advantage well.
Yeah, and I hadn't realized he'd fallen off for the last like 3 weeks or so, but like, I mean, that streak he was on, you knew he was going to the elbows and you couldn't do anything about it. Like, He was the funnest thing to watch. He was given 35 points a game on 50% shooting for like 7 straight games. It was just like, all right, bro, which one of y'all gonna double team him and not let him get to the spot?
Right, and with the developments he's made since his Toronto days as a passer and decision maker, doubling him isn't an easy task. Like, I've seen teams in the clutch especially. They blitz him in the high pick and roll because he wants to come off the screen and get in between and then do some weird fadeaway thing. But when he's blitzed, I think a big improvement that's gone unnoticed is how good he's gotten at relocating himself. Once he passes out of the double, where he's able to position himself to get the ball again, but this time with only one defender.
Oh, I have a question for you, my sir. This is a real question. Better mid-range scorer. Yeah, I'll say better mid-range scorer, but I also want to take into account like one of them doesn't shoot a lot of them anymore from that distance. If you had to take a player from 10 feet, which is the free throw line, DeRozan or Jokic?
I'm taking DeRozan, and I think Jokic, maybe from an accuracy standpoint, he's probably a better mid-range shooter.
He
But I
just
think
doesn't have the shot difficulty profile from that angle.
I was gonna say I also don't think he has the same versatility in the type of mid-range looks he's gonna get. Whereas most of Jokic's mid-range will be like a face-up jab jumper or a fadeaway, like out of the post. DeRozan can essentially, I think, like I used the word manufacture. Like I think there's only one other player in the league who can match his ability to just manufacture a mid-range from anywhere at any time. And that's Kevin Durant, he's Kevin Durant. He's Kevin, maybe Joel Embiid, but he's a lot lower percentage from there. I think that gets understated. I don't think people realize that Embiid's only like a 42% mid-range shooter.
Well, and I think that's the thing too, that people like, they keep, and again, this is, I think Joel's a top 3 player this year. You can put Giannis, him, too, whatever. People keep saying to me, like, Cam, like, you got to realize, like, his shot profile makes his shooting percentage to be 48%. I'm like, okay, well, that's not good. Like, I don't want shots. I don't want my center shooting 48% from the field. Like, that's Jamal Murray shot 48%, 48, 47% from the field. Like, I don't like that he takes tough shots all the time. Can he make them? Sure. But like, I also don't want a center shooting 48% from the field and then 42% from the mid-range. And people keep saying like, oh, well, it's the volume that makes a difference. I'm like, well, good. Jokic knows I can get to the basket whenever I want. Like, but even this, look, and you can look it up on Basketball Reference. Jokic has a better shooting percentage than Joel Embiid, even at the layups, like, and especially from 3 to 10 feet.
Yeah.
Well, it's not only is he getting easier shots, he's shooting a better percentage in these easier spots as well. So like, and I brought this up. I think Joel Embiid he reminds me of Kobe. Like when he gets the ball, like at the top of the key or on the wing, like everyone focuses on him because there's nothing you can actually do to stop him. You just have to hope that he starts missing, and he starts missing when he starts getting tired. So that's the thing. If you make him work on defense, because he hasn't been a great pick and roll defender throughout the entire year, if you make him work and then you make him tired, then he'll stop missing. But if he's not gassed, like you're going to get buried for 45 points, and he's going to get 16 free throws as well.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't think there's a player in the league right now, man. It's hard for me to say because like, who knows what Kevin Durant's going to do in the playoffs? Like, who knows if he'll just come out and drop 35 a game? But like, I'm comfortable saying right now for the entirety of this season, I don't think there's a player better than Embiid at just like forcing the issue. Where it's like you're in a tight situation and it's like I can just give this guy the ball and bad or good, however the look is, he's going to get a look up. He's going to get a shot up. And I think there's a lot of players who can turn it on like that, like LeBron, Jokic, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but Embiid's just been there all year. He's just been there all year.
And Embiid's volume scoring numbers right now, like his scoring rate.
Yeah.
Since he returned from injury earlier in the year, because he started off the year.
It was COVID.
Yeah. Since returning from then, he's had the second highest scoring rate in the NBA history. Over 35 points per 75 possessions. Yeah. Only second to James Harden's 2019 season.
Yeah.
So it's just the ability. I just love his ability so much to just ramp up the volume. But there's also negatives to that. Sometimes he can get scoring blindness, and that's what happened with Kobe. Where it's like there are better plays available, and while he can make them, he's capable of making them.
Look,
sometimes he'll force it.
Look, I'm trying to tell y'all, and this is why I've always said playmaking is more important, because I've watched him when he gets. So what happens is the Philadelphia 76ers, they're getting blitzed more because James Harden's there. So what it does then in turn is turn Joel Embiid into a 4-on-3 situation, and then he has to make the decision to be the passer and at the nail. He is not good at that. He's not. Like, he's gotten better at it. He's gotten better, but when comparatively to like a playmaker, he just doesn't have the ability all the time to be able to see the court as effectively as possible. But, people say, well, his assist numbers are up. Well, like, yeah, they're up, but they're up like meaning like, hey, ball here, decision-making. But when it comes to like actually opening up the floor himself as a passer, he doesn't have that ability, but he's taking advantage of the matchup a lot better. But like, I'm blitzing Philadelphia. I don't care. I am blitzing them, and I'm making Joel Embiid the decision maker. I'd rather him turn and score on a long two-pointer consistently than just for him to just get the ball on an isolation and get a free throw. I just don't want to get in a free throw battle with him.
I think the thing with Embiid is I think it just comes down to processing speed. There's
Right.
players who can process things quicker than others. Look at my best example is always Draymond Green. I don't think there's a quicker processor in NBA history than Draymond Green. The moment he catches the ball in the short roll, it's a play, no matter what.
Well, better relative to like other people in his prototype.
No, just anyone. Just like not even just I don't think there's a quicker processor offensively or defensively, honestly. I don't think there's someone who I think there's players who see the floor better, like court vision wise, but just like when Steph Curry creates a 4-on-3 and Draymond Green catches the ball in the short roll, I don't think there's anyone who could fill that role and be as quick with the decisions as Draymond.
No,
I
I don't know.
don't think there is.
I disagree with that, bro. I think
you can. I respect that you disagree with it. Like I'm not gonna say it's like an objective thing. It's just my opinion. Right. From I'm a huge Draymond guy. I've been a fan.
Well,
of him
defensively, I don't think there's an argument. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't think anybody sets up the offense to fail better than Draymond Green does. It's so funny, like watching offenses think that they're taking advantage of a weakness on the court that he has willingly set up to make you pass to where he wants you to pass the ball, and then abruptly shutting down the rest of your offense because you can't do anything else with it from that point.
Yeah, and it comes down to, like you said, the short roll, the processing speed of the short roll playmaking. Whereas a guy like Draymond, a guy like Jokic is a very good short roll playmaker too. That was more notable with Murray because he was drawing more advantages.
Yeah.
But like when a player comes off a screen and creates a 4-on-3, the ability to not only continue the play but make the right decision on a dime is like so valuable. And I love using Blake Griffin as an example because he was never good at that. Blake Griffin was one of the best playmaking bigs I've ever seen recently. Like in his Clippers days, the late years of his Clippers days when he was getting like 5-6 assists, he was a very, very good playmaker. But most of it was like drive and kick or like post passing, as opposed to Chris Paul creating an advantage. When Blake Griffin would get the ball in the short roll, he'd be like, "What do I do with it?" And that's what it was with Embiid, especially in the Nuggets game. They were blitzing. There would be a lob over the top every single time. Embiid could catch the ball and float the lob every time, and he never saw it. He would get the ball and start dribbling, like do a hesitation. And it's just not connecting the offense at the level it should be. And I just feel like I do think Embiid will get better with that, working with Harden over time, but like you can't really teach processing speed. You either got it or you don't.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't think Jokic had a short roll this year because there's been no Jamal Murray. So like that's the other frustrating thing, right? Like he does it in zone defense. Like I watch him do it versus zone all the time. Like Miami's notorious for that 2-3 zone. It never works versus Jokic because
Milwaukee.
Like Milwaukee did the same thing. That and you brought up a great point. That's why they kill the Bucks when they play. They beat them by 36 this year because all it was they tried to either hedge Jokic or they would play that man-to-man defense. He had that sneak pass to Jeff Green from the top of the key, but literally, like, he gets the ball in the middle of the court, and it's like, all right, I'm going to kill you with what is he shooting from 3 to 10? Like 70-something% or something like that. It's like something unbelievable. I'm going to kill you right here with this floater, or I'm going to hit Aaron Gordon on the cutter or Jeff Green on the cutter to the back end of the dunker spot, or I'm going to kick it out to the wing three, and you're going to have nothing to do with it. And so I think, bro, like, again, personally, I think Jokic's the best short roll player in that little that like hub area on the court, just because of I've never seen a big man who has the ability to literally like just destroy you from an intellect standpoint like that. But again, Draymond also is there as well. But I think the threat of Jokic is different is that like Draymond is not a scorer at that level, whereas Jokic is like, I'm like an elite scorer. So if you leave me here, I'm going to hit you with this 2-pointer. Or I'm going to hit you with one of these passes. So I don't know, bro. That you actually made me very sad, bro, that I haven't seen him get one of those situations because there's no Jamal Murray. Like I'm not blissing Monte Morris and Will Barton.
Right, and there's also different types of short rolls. Like you mentioned it, the ones where Jokic catches the ball in a standing position and just like can look at the free flowing offense. He's the best ever at that, no question. But like I would say, in those like downhill situations, I would say Draymond's a better short roll playmaker just because like of his speed. Draymond's fast. Like I don't think people realize how fast he is. When he catches the ball, he's like a running back. Like, he just darts at the hoop. And granted, the only threat of him scoring is a layup or a dunk when he's going downhill. But like Draymond charges at defense. Like He's terrifying. I would not want to guard Draymond in the paint in those situations just because I know he'll run through me and then yell at me about it.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I think the combination, the trio of Draymond, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. I mean, I don't think there could have been a better. You cannot tell me. I don't care what the Warriors say. You can't tell me they intentionally did that on purpose. There's no way. There's no way they saw Draymond coming out of Michigan. They're like, oh yeah, like he's gonna be the best pivot player of all time, surrounded by shooters. Like, let's put him here. Again, maybe his coach Izzo too. Like his mind, man. Like, and again, I said this, and the Warriors fans got mad at me. I feel like we're talking about all kind of stuff right now. But this is the NBA channel, so whatever. Like. When I said that Draymond Green was the center of that Warriors team, so many Warriors fans got so pissed at me because they thought I was like somehow taking a shot at Steph Curry. And I'm just like, no, like Steph is a gravity machine. I get that, but he's not their most important player for them being an elite team. And I feel like that's been so evident this entire season because they have been abysmal for the most part without Draymond Green because they don't have like that captain. They don't have that decision maker, playmaker, and they're missing one of the greatest defenders of all time. So I don't know, man. I just think his importance has been on full display this year without him being there.
Well, yeah, I've been standing on the boat that Draymond is one of the most important players ever. Like, people like to evaluate players from like an ability and talent standpoint.
Right.
But like I've always been a guy that thinks this should be a value thing, right? Like how valuable can you be to a championship team?
Right.
When you put together these championship teams, I don't know how many players in NBA history are more valuable than Draymond Green. Right. It's like what he's able to do as a ceiling raiser and as like a glue guy and as like the Swiss Army knife of your team is just ridiculous. Like he just does. The only flaw he has is that he's a below average scorer from every level.
Question: do you think the Warriors, if you take out Steph Curry and Draymond, and they had those 3 championships, if you took out one of those players out of the system, which one would prevent them more from winning those championships? You think?
You're saying like who was more important between Steph and Draymond? Steph.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Steph's the better player, but I'm just thinking like if you replace Steph with Kevin Durant like they did, right, and you put him in that lineup, do you think they still win those championships?
No.
Yeah, because Steph Curry and Klay and Dre and Harrison Barnes and all that.
It's just, I don't know.
Again, let me qualify. I'm not saying that it is Draymond. I'm asking the question.
I know, yeah. I know. I'm just like, I definitely think it's Steph, like no question. But it's just from the only reason the offense works so well. Like you can only have a motion offense when there's someone creating an advantage. You can't just pass for no reason. Like they can't just be running around just playing hot potato. Yeah. So like there has to be some sort of advantage, and I think Steph is the most prominent advantage creator ever. Like maybe Shaq, you could say, but like I don't think there's someone.
Shaq with today's spacing.
It's just, I mean, Shaq was getting quadruple teamed. Like, yeah, but like, it's just the reason the motion offense works so well. So maybe if you put those teams together and then change the system a bit, they could be, because like Kevin Durant, Draymond, and Klay is just so much talent and so much like they fit so well still together. But like, the problem was during those Kevin Durant years, they would keep running the motion offense without Steph, and it just wasn't as productive. Like, There's a reason every time Steph left the floor in those years, even with the other big 3, they just weren't very good. Like, I remember in 2017 specifically, when Steph played and KD didn't, they were 16-3.
Right.
And then like a couple of years, I think it was 2018, Steph missed like 20-something games. They were like 500 without him.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, Steph was the offense. He was the system. Whether you think he was the most talented player or whatever, I mean, he was the system. It was the Steph system. That's really what it was.
Gosh, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't miss that at all because I remember every time they played against the Nuggets during that point in time. Like, I legit, bro, over those 2-year period, I think Kevin Durant shot 70% from the field versus the Nuggets.
It's just like, I mean, when the Warriors were playing fully healthy, you were living with Kevin Durant playing one-on-one basketball every time. And it's like, Kevin Durant is maybe the best one-on-one basketball player ever.
Right.
So good luck. Right? Good luck.
Yeah, I think there was that game where they played the Nuggets, and we can move back on to the Rookie of the Year because we completely got off subject, which is fine. They had 51 points in the first quarter, and the Nuggets had 38. And I was just like, the Nuggets had this like their best quarter ever, and then the Warriors had 51 points, and it was just like, Like,
What
you know,
What
you
do you
get the
do?
ball in Steph's hand, you get the ball in Durant's hands, you're like, all right, thank the Lord. And then it gets to Klay Thompson on an open three-pointer. I'm just like, all right. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, how did you assemble this team? Anyway, so Evan Mobley's your rookie of the year. I mean, who's his comp? Like, I think he had 27 and 11 versus the Nuggets the other day. I mean, is he like a Chris Bosh but without the shooting? Like, what is he?
Um, I've been saying this. The thing is, I don't know if he'll ever get to this level, but just from an archetype and play type standpoint, since I've seen the guy play in college, since he got drafted, um, I'm a huge Kevin Garnett guy. That's who I see. I mean, Kevin Garnett is one of my three favorite players in NBA history. I'm not saying, like I said, I don't think he'll get to Kevin Garnett's level,
Yeah.
but just from like the archetype, like a 6'11", tall, skinny, lanky big who can handle, pass, play off the ball, defend all five positions. I mean, is that not Kevin Garnett? Like mid range
Yeah.
has mid range counters and can play off the ball.
He'll learn how to shoot too. That's the scary thing about him. Like,
Yeah.
and he's gonna learn how to be a better passer, bro. Having him and Jared Allen in your front line, like once Evan Mobley becomes a better playmaker, it's gonna be unbelievable.
I mean, I imagine we were just talking about short roll. Imagine Darius Garland to Mobley in the short roll with Jared Allen in the dunker spot.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's just disgusting.
Yeah, and again, shout out to Darius Garland for taking the leap. You know,
he's so good. He's so
21 and 8 assists this year, like on fairly good numbers across the board as well. Like, he's not a good defender. I think he has too small of a frame. He gives me like Mike Conley vibes in a little bit.
I can see that,
but still very effective player. You know what I mean? Like, he had 25 points and 14 assists versus the Nuggets. Granted, you know, he played against Monte Morris and them, which again, good player, but you know, like, but I think he has a really good future, man. Evan Mobley, having him as well, like having Karis LeVert come off the bench. I mean, they might make some noise in the playoffs. Not if they're playing against the Boston Celtics, though. And right now they're on track to play against the 76ers. So, you know, maybe they can put up a fight against them, but I highly doubt it.
I always thought the Cavs had the best. If they were to make a first round, if they were to make an upset, if it was possible, it would have to be against the Bucks to me, because I do think the Cavs, just the way they played the Bucks this year, like they look very good against the Bucks. Like, they have the tools to slow down the Bucks attack, and I don't know if they have the offensive pieces to. Because that Bucks playoff defense is going to be a juggernaut again and again and again.
Yeah, without Brook Lopez too, man. That's I mean, the downside.
Isn't Brook Lopez back? I swear he's back.
Is he back now?
I want to check real quick, but I'm pretty sure the last Bucks game I watched, I saw Brook Lopez. I could be completely wrong, but I don't know if he's back or not. I actually have no idea.
Early positive returns. He isn't. 3 days ago, isn't just back.
He is back.
He's back. He's back. You're right.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, right. I thought I saw him.
That's gonna be terrible.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a nightmare. Because Brook Lopez, there's three people that really give Embiid problems. It was Marc Gasol, it is Al Horford, and it is Brook Lopez.
The Marc Gasol point is interesting too, because he was the best Jokic defender too at one point. I remember, because if you look at Jokic's stats against Gasol over the years, there's no other player that's anywhere like Jokic. I want to say Jokic shoots sub 40% against Gasol in the last.
I think before 2018, before that Kawhi Leonard year, because I think that 2018 season they beat the Raptors twice, and I think Jokic played pretty well against them. But to your point, Marc Gasol is basically Jokic, just like from a skill standpoint. So like. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But again, it's Marc freaking Gasol. Like, I don't think any big's just gonna go off on Marc like that, you know. Again, I don't think the Raptors were good, but they wouldn't have been as good as they were without Marc. They just
all. They were a top 10 playoff defense in NBA history, and Gasol was the anchor. He was the anchor.
It was so frustrating, bro, watching that team, man. Like,
especially against Philly. Joel Embiid was in prison. Joel Embiid was like, he was having like 7 field goal attempts. And
if you think do you think the 76ers could actually make it out the East, or do you really think, like, I don't think they're going to get past Boston? And
I think they could. I don't think they will, but I think they could. Like, I just feel like no matter what your concerns are, I think I'll never rule out a team with James Harden and Joel Embiid. Whether James Harden's still at that level or not, that just from a talent perspective, James Harden is one of the most talented players ever, and he's the second option. So it's like even look at what Brooklyn was doing just a year ago when James Harden was healthy. They were.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, that Brooklyn team is scary, bro. Kyrie and Kevin and Seth Curry and Bruce Brown and now having Andre Drummond, like a competent big who can
Ben
secure the glass.
Simmons.
Ben Simmons. Hey man, I'm telling you, man, Ben Simmons comes back at all, and then he could just be a great wing defender, perimeter defender for them, and be a ball handler in the fast break. Okay, 14 points a game, 8 rebounds, 6, 7, 8 assists a game. Like next to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, that's enough. Like I don't, he doesn't need to be a scorer.
I think Brooklyn's underrated. I definitely think so because one thing about Ben Simmons too is he's so switchable that no matter who you're facing, he's probably gonna guard the other team's like best initiator. So it's like if you face Boston, Ben Simmons is gonna guard Jason Tatum. Maybe Kevin Durant. Right. Kevin Durant will probably get some reps on Jason Tatum too. But Philly, Ben Simmons is gonna guard James Harden. Milwaukee, Ben Simmons is gonna guard Giannis. Like whether he does it successfully.
The thing is, I forget that Ben Simmons is 6'10" because I feel like it's so long since I've seen him play.
He's 6'10" and he's like the third fastest player in the NBA. That's a crazy combination.
Right.
That's a crazy combination. And just like, yeah, say what you want about his offense being a bit problematic, but like you can afford that when you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. You can afford some problematic offense because they'll bail you out. They will bail you out.
So we have Evan Mobley as Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, quickly because we've been talking about all this stuff, man. I think Ty Lue's in that conversation. JB JB Bickerstaff in that conversation as well. Obviously, once again, I think Coach Williams for the Phoenix Suns, obviously they're number one team in the world again. I don't know who else you put in that conversation. I feel like Michael Malone deserves a nod. I don't think it's small what he's done. I think he's been great this year though. I think Tyronn Lue has been great considering the fact they haven't had Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Who do you think is maybe would get the nod this year for Coach of the Year? Spoelstra as well.
It's really hard because there's no like metric to evaluate coaching by. It's like you can see the systems, you can see the rotations, you can see how good the team performs, but like in general, there's no real way to like evaluate the best coach in the league. So I think there's, like you said, Spoelstra, you named a few guys. I think there's also Chris Finch deserves some love. Taylor Jenkins, another one.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Let's stop right there. Look, Chris Finch was with the Nuggets. He was already I know who he is. He's a really good coach. Mm-hmm. But dog, their defensive lineup with Patrick Beverly, even D'Angelo Russell, but having Anthony Edwards, Jared Vanderbilt as your roller
is crazy. I love Vanderbilt, man. I love.
They're such a tough team, bro. They play so physical. I think Chris Finch should get a nod.
Vanderbilt's another guy I would love to see next to Jokic, but that's another.
He was next to Jokic. He just didn't get any time because he couldn't play.
I'm saying next to Jokic now that they know he's good.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. We always thought he could be good, but like he's just such a force on the offensive board, and he's so fast. Like he has no offensive game, but he's 6'9". He's a super freak athlete, and he's just so smart.
He's also a very talented passer. Like, could you imagine the interior passing between Vando and Jokic now? Like, oh man. But yeah.
I think Aaron Gordon is a better all-around player, obviously, but I think that like Aaron has just had so much offensive responsibility. It's just really taken away from his ability to be impact on D. I think if he had Jamal Murray, he'd be a better player this year because he don't need to be like the force the issue as much as he does. It's just everyone's playing out of position with the Nuggets, and it causes so many issues, including with Aaron Gordon. So I think Chris Finch is not. I think Jared Vanderbilt's been great. So if you had to pick your coach of the year right now, based on what you've seen, who do you think it would be?
I'll probably go Eric Spoelstra.
Oh gosh, it's unbelievable.
I think it's just. I think the big thing for me with Eric Spoelstra is the Heat have been barraged with different injuries, COVID, players out of the lineup for whatever reason, and they just have consistently been the best team in the East. Like, it's just been so consistent. When Jimmy and Bam were out, they were winning games comfortably with just Kyle Lowry and Tyler Hero initiating all the offense. And I just think
Tyler Hero is an all-star level player off the bench, but it's crazy.
But I think Spoelstra. I think definitely if I had to pick, like I said, it's very hard because I think there's like 10 guys you could argue, even Monty Williams to some extent too. But like, I would give it to Eric Spoelstra.
Oh man, what's the? I'm sorry, Memphis fans. What's the Memphis head coach name again?
Taylor Jenkins.
He's been great too. I'm not gonna lie, he's been great. Yeah. I mean, they're loaded, but they're loaded because they are very well coached. Mm-hmm. Like, again, they're 14-2 without their best player, and I don't want to put quotes around their best player because he is their best player, but like, I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is their most important player, maybe. You put Dylan Brooks in there. I need to know he was out for a while. Desmond Bane. I mean, they have so many players, bro. Like, it's unbelievable watching them play. All right, last thing, final prediction. Right now, if you had to put it together, say these are the teams coming out of the West East. Who are your finals predictions?
Assuming these teams are fully healthy.
No, because the Nuggets aren't healthy. The Clippers aren't healthy.
Yeah, relative healthy. No, but I'm saying like, assuming Steph and Chris Paul are back is what I'm saying, because they're both. I'm pretty sure their target dates are both before the playoffs. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Well, Steph's trying to be back for round one. I'm really, I'm not happy. That foot news doesn't sit right with me.
Well, I'm pretty sure Steph's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, which is before the playoffs. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I'm going to assume Steph and Chris Paul are back for the first round.
Okay.
Suns and Warriors to me is a very tough one. I think that's the two for the West right now. But it's like, how does Clay look in that series? Is he still going to be forcing
I think the Warriors are very beatable, bro. I'm not going to lie to you.
They are, and a big part of it is ever since Clay came back, he doesn't know his role. He's like, he thinks he's, I don't know who he thinks he is. It's like the Will Barton thing. Like, Clay is like trying to initiate the offense when he's an off-ball player. And it's like, I think I might have fallen victim to how the Warriors looked in that stretch without Draymond, because before Draymond got out, they were so good. They were like 28. Yeah, I
just think Clay's been off for 2 years. I think he's just really rusty.
Yeah, but like the Warriors started off 28-6 with a top 10 defense in NBA history.
Yeah,
it's like that's a really. But Andrew Wiggins has fallen off too. But now Jordan Poole is looking like a star. I don't know what to expect from the Warriors. I think them and the Suns are the two teams in the West that I think would be like a 7-game series. I'm gonna go with the Suns. I'm going with the Suns. I might be falling victim to the Draymond out stretch. I might be falling victim. Who knows if Steph's gonna be a 45% 3-point shooter again in the playoffs? I don't know what to expect with that, because like this stretch has made no sense. The Suns
just have so many things they can throw out the Warriors. Is the thing. Yeah. Like, I mean, Mikal Bridges legit is a top 3 defensive player of the year candidate right now. Maybe top 5, but having Mikal, Jay, Chris, Devin's been a better defender this year. DeAndre Ayton,
and you got McGee on the bench.
They got Cameron Johnson, Payne.
They're a very good team. They're like, I always view them as like the Western Conference Celtics right now.
Yeah,
like it's just and to speak to that, Celtics are my East pick. Now that I think about it, I think Suns and Celtics is going to be the NBA. I'm going with Suns and Celtics. That's what I'm going with. It's tough though, because there's like legitimately like 10 contenders right now. Right. It's like, no, actually, I'm going with the Lakers.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna say the Phoenix Suns, and
it could be a rematch.
I'm gonna trust them. I'm gonna say the Milwaukee Bucks should be able to make it out, but right now they're scheduled to play the Raptors, which or to play in at least. So we think the Raptors and the Nets. The problem
because the Nets could, if they beat the Raptors in the play-in, they get the 7. We could see a Bucks and Nets first round, dude.
Yeah,
that is nasty.
Yeah, the problem is Kevin Durant's such a wild card, man, and like if Kyrie Irving, the vaccination status gets removed from New York, like that's a lot, like to just go and beat Kevin Durant in the first round.
Yeah.
Like, when has Kevin Durant been beat in the first round? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that means he's fresh.
I think Kevin Durant, I don't think he's lost in the first round since 2010. I could be wrong.
Yeah, since like he was a baby. Yeah.
Because 11 they lost to the Mavericks in the second or third. The 12 they made the finals. 13 they made the Grizzlies series then lost. 14 they lost to the Spurs in the second round.
I think the thing I remember most from the 2012-13 run when they went on is when they played the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, I think. And what is the Lakers?
No, they lost to the Lakers in 2010.
That's when it was. It was 2010. Because Serge Ibaka had one of those games where he went like 11-11 for the field or something like that, and like Westbrook was going crazy like in transition.
You actually, I think you might be thinking of the 2012 second round. I think that's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah.
The 2012 second round. That was Kobe's last playoff series, actually.
Ever? Woo! That's crazy.
How long playoff series ever? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Like, Kevin Durant hasn't lost in the first round in 12 years. 12 years.
Yeah, I don't know if that's dangerous, bro. So I'll have to say I'm gonna take the Bucks and the Suns, but with a surprise, like I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics made it out either. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Nets made it out.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of teams make it out. Like, who knows what's gonna happen with like teams like Utah and Memphis too, or even like to some extent Dallas. Like, I don't think Dallas is at that level, but like the way they've played this year, when you give Luka Doncic a top 6 defense, dangerous, right? Very dangerous. And I don't think they're a better team than like the Suns or the Warriors, but like, what if Steph's not fully healthy? That would be
the worst matchup for Memphis, I think, of anyone in the West if they had to play against Luka.
Another big matchup issue for Memphis is Minnesota. I've heard a lot of things. I think Minnesota could upset Memphis. I don't know if that was matched up as a 2-7. I might go Minnesota in that series. That's interesting though.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I love Anthony Edwards. He doesn't have any fear in him whatsoever. So him and Cat, I don't know what D'Angelo Russell's going to be. Somebody's going to be a playoff, like a dud in that series. Patrick Beverly probably not going to shoot well in that series. Cat may not be the best player. We'll see. But like I said, that's going to be heck. Anybody playing against the Nuggets or Timberwolves is going to be awful. Like, the thing is, you're playing against the Nuggets, you're playing against the best player. So like, that's always going to be terrible. But the problem is like, all right, I'm just going to load up on Jokic. And I'm going to have, Will Barton, Monte Morrison them beat me. They're not going to beat me. So you can probably win that series. But if you're playing against the Timberwolves, it's like, all right, if Anthony Edwards takes a step in this series, it makes that series that much harder. Because I've seen him get 10 threes in the game before. He can also score 40, probably, if he needs to in a playoff series. He might rise like John Morant did last year. And then Karl Anthony Towns is going to be a good player. And they have good defense. So, like, no, the bench minutes, you can probably run them. But, yeah, man, I think that's going to be a good series, bro.
Yeah, I hope we see that. But, yeah, going back to the contenders pick, I do think my top two would be, I think the finals would be the Suns and the Celtics. I would say the Suns win that series.
Yeah,
the Celtics. Yeah,
it should be fun, man. We'll have to get back for another episode because obviously there's a lot more to talk about, man. But obviously you're great at what you do, man. I appreciate you, bro. This has been crazy. We've got an hour and a half worth of content, man. So y'all hit the subscribe button, subscribe to Hoop Venue, subscribe to the channel, man. Let's continue to build this up, and I will see y'all soon. We out.